1 Kings 3. Solomon made an alliance by marriage with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He married Pharaoh's daughter. He brought her to the city of David until he could finish building his residence and the temple of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. Now the people who offered sacrifices at the high places, because in those days a temple had not yet been built to honor the Lord. Solomon demonstrated his loyalty to the Lord by following the practices of his father David, except that he offered sacrifices and burnt incense on the high places. Okay, so we had all of Solomon establishing himself. He now is making an alliance. So he's internally solidified his power. He is now making an alliance with Egypt. Okay, already I'm questioning, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be marrying foreign women at all. There's warnings throughout the Torah of marrying foreigners because they are going to lead you away. Do not marry foreign women. They will lead you away after their gods. Here you're making an alliance with Pharaoh and marrying Pharaoh's daughter. And you're bringing her to the city of David, and you're building a residence, and you're building a temple for God. And you're also building the wall around Jerusalem. Let me see if there's anything on the footnote for that. It's just locations. Okay. So you could see why he's choosing to do this. There's no wall around Jerusalem yet. He is making a wall around Jerusalem. He is doing some things his father never got to. David is out warring all the time. He was not a builder of projects the way that Solomon is going to be. Now, David did try to, assemble stuff for building. He did ask God to be able to build and was told no, he had blood on his hands, so he couldn't do it. So Solomon is carefully not putting blood on his own hands as he is taking care of things that his father passed on to him to resolve. And so now he's doing these things, but he marries his first wife. So we were talking about earlier, did he have any wives? Well, he could have after the request of taking Agaba by Adonijah. He could have decided to take the Shunammite virgin as his wife to, take that power and solidify himself. Sorry, I had an eyelash. He doesn't do that. But now he takes a foreign woman, a thing he is told not to do. Okay. All the kings are told not to do this. So this isn't just like Solomon. It is what you're not supposed to do. But it says, it also tells us that there are high places. So during David's time, there were high places that were out there. These are high places that existed throughout the time of the judges, throughout the time of Solomon, before the kingdom is established. They have not been torn down. So people worship there. And except for he offered sacrifices and burnt incense on the high places. So he follows the practices of David, but in addition to that, he does practices he should not do. So he is following after the Lord. He is loyal to the Lord, but he is burning sacrifices and incense on the high places. So he is giving the offerings, it seems, to God, but doing them in the wrong way, in the wrong places. The king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, for it had the most prominent of the high places. Or is this just saying these are high places? So I'm just trying to make sure I'm not reading into it. Are these just high places where people sacrifice because there's no temple, but they are to the Lord? So they're not the Baal and the Asherah pole high places. So making sure I'm not reading it the wrong way. So let's keep looking. Because it does say he followed the Lord. So maybe there's just the locations where proper sacrifices are being offered before the temple is built. Solomon offered up 1,000 burnt sacrifices on the altar there. One night in Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream. God said, okay, so this sounds like, so I'm used to the high places being bad. So apparently this is just burnt incense. Although it says except he offered sacrifices on the high places. Now he's offering them. Okay, let me go see here. 1 Solomon 3. Just looking for another translation of this. Okay, the end of verse 3. Only he sacrificed the burnt incense, sacrifice and burnt incense on high places. Okay, so it does sound like it's in the wrong. Okay, so it does feel like there's something wrong about this. But he's making sacrifices, burnt sacrifices on the altar there, and God appears to him. Tell me what I should give you. So it does sound like he's making these to the Lord, but he's not necessarily going to continue the practice to be the right way. So God comes to him in a dream and says, "Tell me what I should give you." Solomon replied, "You demonstrate a great loyalty to your servant, my father David, as he served you faithfully, properly, and sincerely. You have maintained this great loyalty to this day by allowing his son to sit on his throne. Now, O Lord my God." Now, notice what he does. God asks him, "What should I give you?" And his reply is to describe who God is, his understanding of God and God's relationship with his father. "Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in my father's place, even though I am only a young man and I am inexperienced." So now he's talking about what you did for my father, what you've done for me. So he starts out by what God has done, who God is. "Your servant stands among your chosen people. They are a great nation. They are too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning mind, so he can make judicial decisions for your people and distinguish right from wrong. Otherwise, no one is able to make judicial decisions for this great nation of yours." So what the people need is someone who can discern the decisions between what is right and wrong. And I, the king, need someone to do that. There is no one to do that. So God, give me the discernment, a discerning mind to be able to do what is best and right for the people. The Lord was pleased with that Solomon made this request. God said to him, "Because you asked for the ability to make wise judicial decisions, and not for long life or riches or vengeance on your enemies, I grant your request and give you a wise and discerning mind superior to anyone who has preceded or will succeed you. Furthermore, I am giving you what you did not request, riches and honor, so that you will be the greatest king of your generation. If you follow my instructions by obeying my rules and regulations, just as your father did, then I will grant you long life." Okay, so he is also going to give riches and honor to him, so he'll be the greatest among his generation. Yeah, so there'll be no king like you in all your days. So the LXX doesn't have in all your days. So, like, you'll be the greatest king. Riches and honor are going to come to you. So you're getting the wisdom you asked for, and you're going to get riches, and you're going to get honor. So you got fame, you got riches, and you're getting wisdom. The wisdom is going to lead in some ways to the honor, and the riches will also lead to the honor, and in some ways the wisdom is going to lead to riches. So he's giving all of those things, but there's a conditional clause here. "If you follow instructions by obeying the rules and regulations as your father did, then I will grant you long life." So the long life is not automatically given. The long life is contingent upon following and staying true to God. Solomon then woke up and realized it was a dream. He went to Jerusalem, stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, offered up burnt sacrifices, presented peace offerings, and held a feast for all his servants. So he went to one of the high places and he offered 1,000 sacrifices. It does look like they're sacrifices to God, and God comes to him. If they're sacrifices to someone other than God, why is God coming to him in a dream? Okay, it does, even though the high places are there, it sounds sus. I'm still not sure entirely if it's good or bad, or if it's leading the way for this is going to be a thing in the future that will lead him away. So for now, it's okay, but it's a tempt. It could be a thing that will lead him away because he's establishing. But now, after God has visited him, he goes straight to the Ark of the Covenant. He stands before it. He offers burnt sacrifices, peace offerings, and holds a feast for all his servants. Isn't this a fascinating thing? Holding a feast for all your servants. Like, think about that. If you were a business owner holding a feast for all of your employees. Like, something is so wonderful and great that who you want to celebrate it with is your employees. Here, David is celebrating, not David. We've been studying David. Solomon is celebrating not with people who can give him praise and accolades, but he is celebrating with his servants. I don't know. I find that fascinating. Now we're going to get a story that demonstrates his wisdom. Very, very well-known passage. Then 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of the women said, "My master, this woman and I live in the same house. I had a baby while she was with me in the house. Then 3 days after I had my baby, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one else in the house except the 2 of us. The woman's child suffocated during the night when she rolled on top of him. She got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while your servant was sleeping. She put him in her arms and put her dead son in my arms. I got up in the morning to nurse him, and there he was, dead. But when I examined him carefully in the morning, I realized he was not my baby." The other woman said, "No, my son was alive. Your son is dead." Now the first woman replied, "No, your son is dead. My son is alive." Each presented her case before the king. So we get the whole of the story. 2 women, prostitutes. Why is that an important thing? To give us information that there are no husbands involved. Why would they be here? Because the practice that they are doing for a living has led them to have a sabbatical, for lack of a better way of describing it, from occupation. An occupational hazard back in the day, and they decide to have the children. They are living together, probably because their means are not enough to have, and there's no one else to support them, and a death happens. And I'm trying to give you more info because most of us just want to go to what Solomon says, but I want to get, why is it important to know? Because women aren't ones that can testify in court, for the most part. So we have a problem between women. So what can you do except have women testify? We have 2. We have she said, by the seashore. Sorry. She said, and there are no other witnesses. The other 2 witnesses are the infants, which cannot talk. They are just unable to say, and one is dead, and one is alive. So they have come, they have pled their case. They're both pointing the finger at the other. The king said, "One says, 'My son is alive. Your son is dead,' while the other says, 'No, your son is dead. My son is alive.'" The king ordered, "Get me a sword." So they placed a sword before the king. The king then said, "Cut the living child in 2 and give half to one and half to the other." The real mother spoke up to the king, for her motherly instincts were awakened. She said, "My master, give her the living child. Whatever you do, don't kill him." But the other woman said, "Neither one of us will have him. Let them cut him in 2." The king responded, "Give the first woman the living child. Don't kill him. She is the mother." When all Israel heard about the judicial decision which the king had rendered, they respected the king, for they realized that he possessed divine wisdom to make judicial decisions. Okay, so we know this story. It's told prominently, whether you know the Bible or don't. You probably heard of the story. The interesting thing here is both women don't say the same thing. Okay, so so I know it's saying that the one woman says, "Give the child to her. At least the child is alive. I want my child to live." She has love and compassion for the child. Why doesn't the second woman say the same thing? I mean, to just like keep the story going. But what happens actually is both of their hearts are revealed. Both of their hearts are revealed. The heart of the woman whose child it is wants her child to live. The one whose child is already dead is fine if the other woman loses her child. Then we both don't have kids. So the one whose heart is filled with bitterness and, about her child being dead is fine with other people having bitterness. She doesn't say, "Great, it is my child, and I should have him." Could have went that way too. Like I'm just thinking of things that she could have said. She could have said just the same thing and kept the ruse going. And Solomon's got to figure out, okay, did she say it first? I make her the real mother. The other one's just copying. Could have figured it out that way. But She doesn't go the opposite and say, oh, great, thank you for giving me my son back. I'm so thankful that you realize now that killing my son wasn't going to bring yours back. Like, could have went that route. Nope. Nope. True vitriol, spite, whatever you want to call it, coming out. Great. Then neither one of us will have. It's really in the reveal of the second one's disdain that causes the understanding to be able to be fleshed out and everyone to see what had happened there.